The Tennessee Titans started off the day trading star wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they weren't done yet, guys. They then finished the day by trading linebacker Ernest Jones to the Seattle Seahawks. And guys, the tank is on. Hey everybody, how's it going? Titan Uprising here. Thank you for tuning in. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe. Please leave a comment down below because it's going to get interesting for the Titans. They're not done trading yet, guys. 2 today, 1 at the beginning of the day, 1 at the end of the day. They're not done. We're just getting started, guys. And I want to know what you guys think down below. Who's next? What do you think of these trades? Let me know. Let's start a conversation. Love to hear what you guys think. But guys, it's apparent the Titans are trading away assets. I mean, they traded 2 today, and I said earlier in my intro, the tank is on, and they will say it's not, but it is. I mean, you're not going to be trading away key players and expect to win. I don't, they're going to try and spin it in a positive way, but we know what's going on, and I'm okay with it. I want us to do a hard rebuild. And I don't want us to, both these players were on the last year of their contract. And granted, I love both these players in the short stint we had Ernest Jones for. And then DeAndre Hopkins has been nothing but a true professional. And he would have stayed here. He never would have requested a trade. It's just not who he is. And I like DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's a great guy, great player. But, it's apparent that we weren't going to keep him after this year. The Titans held Derrick Henry last year when, in all honesty, if you were going to not keep him, you probably should have traded him. But at the same time, it was nice to have Derrick Henry ride the whole season out, play with the Titans, give us that great last game and his farewell in Nashville. It was great. It was poetic. I loved it. And, we're not going to get the same, obviously, with Hopkins. I mean, he'd only been here for 2 years. This was his second season. So maybe that's why they didn't do that with Henry. I think they could have easily traded Henry last year, but they didn't. And, it is what it is. It's in the past, but, when you look at it, that's what you get when you don't trade a guy like Henry. You don't get anything for the return of him, or you don't get a return on him when he leaves in free agency. And you knew you weren't going to resign him. Now you get a return on guys like DeAndre Hopkins and Ernest Jones. So, you take that for what it is. What would you rather do? If you were a GM, what would you do? That's how I try to look at things. So I know there are people that are upset about it. There's people that are happy about it. At the end of the day, I can't make the decision. You can't make the decision. We're fans of this team. Try to be supportive of it. And that's where we got to go from here. Now, let's get into the details of these trades, okay? DeAndre Hopkins traded to the Chiefs, making them, the only undefeated team in the NFL, a better team. So, yeah, let's get into these trade details, guys. Hopkins traded to the Chiefs, like I said. Titans received a 5th-round pick that could potentially be a 4th-round pick. It becomes a 4th-round pick if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl and Hopkins plays 60% of their snaps for the remainder of the season. Hey, both of those are likely to happen because the Chiefs need weapons. And like I said earlier, the Chiefs are the only NFL team left undefeated. And there's a good chance that they do make it to the Super Bowl. Hopkins, like I said earlier, was a free agent next year. And I don't love the compensation on this one, especially since the Titans eat $2.5 million of his contract. And guys, it's time to find out what the Titans have in their receiving room. I mean, you got Calvin Ridley, Burks is hurt, Hopkins is gone we've had him for the past 2 seasons. This was his 2nd year. We have NWI. We have that rookie Jackson that we drafted this year. Maybe they call someone up from the practice squad. It's going to be interesting to see what we do. We have Boyd obviously still too, but wide receiver hasn't been a shining spot for this team, and now it's going to be an even bigger glaring hole. So yes, wide receiver is going to be more difficult now without Hopkins. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And what does that mean for Levis, right? It was reported earlier today that Amy Adams, according to Brian Callahan, Amy Adams wants to see, he's on par with it. She wants to see what Levis has, if he's the answer. You trade away a wide receiver that would have helped you evaluate him, makes me start to question whether Levis isn't part of the plans next year either. And I don't think he is. It's leaning towards him not being a Titan next year. And yeah, I'm gonna have to get rid of this little bobblehead right there. Yeah, pulled the trigger too early. Happens all the time, guys. You should see all the jerseys I have in my closet that they don't even play for the Titans anymore. I'm sure you guys do as well. Now let's get into the Ernest Jones trade, okay? The Titans traded linebacker Ernest Jones to the Seahawks for linebacker Jerome Baker and a 2025 fourth-round pick. Pretty good there. Remember that Carthon traded for Ernest Jones in August, acquired him from the Rams. That trade had the Titans sending a 2026 fifth-round pick to the Rams for a 2026 sixth-round pick and Ernest Jones. So basically, Ran Carthon traded a 2026 fifth-round pick for a 2025 fourth-round pick, a 2026 sixth-round pick, and Baker. Not a bad deal, in all honesty. He did pretty well there. I don't think you could replicate that very often, but it's not a bad deal, really. I mean, when you look at it in that perspective, yeah, it's a great trade. You know, and I liked Ernest Jones. We didn't see much of him, obviously, you know, just for the first, you know, third of the year. And he was a great player, great linebacker. We got compensation on him. He would have been a free agent at the end of the year. And like I said earlier, it's clear the Titans are just trading players for draft capital, and I don't expect them to be done yet. And this is where I'm going to go and lean into guys that I think could be traded. One of them will break my heart if he is, and that is Harold Landry. And man, I don't want this guy to be traded. I love him. Another guy I think is going to be that could be traded is Arden Key. Both of them edge rushers. We lack edge rushers in the worst way. With Landry, I wouldn't expect anything less, or I wouldn't want anything less than a second-round pick. And for Arden Key, I wouldn't want anything less than a fifth-round pick. Landry has 4 sacks. Key has 1 sack. Landry would be somewhat more expensive for teams to trade for him, $17.5 million per year, with his contract running through 2026. Arden Key has a $1.4 million base salary this year and $6.5 next year. I think that Arden Key is the more likely of the two to get traded, as he's cheaper. And granted, guys, I don't want to lose any of these guys, but if a team is in full sell and rebuild mode, anything can happen. And we should expect anything to happen. We should be expecting this to be the start of a handful, if not many more trades. Now, like I said, I don't want Landry to be traded. I really don't. But man, if they start getting, once we did this today with the Titans, they started trading players today. Teams are going to be calling now, knowing the Titans are open for business. So don't expect, like I said, those to be the last trades. Now, one guy I do not expect it to be traded is Jeffrey Simmons, because one, he has an average salary of $23.5 million per year, which, by the way, is the 7th highest for an interior defensive lineman. His contract also goes through the 2027 season. And he only has 17 tackles, 3 for loss, and 1 sack on the season. I don't see anyone paying that contract when he hasn't been producing the greatest, and the Titans won't be able to get the value they want in return for him. I would take no less than a first-round pick for Jeffrey Simmons, and a team is just not going to offer a first-round pick for Jeffrey Simmons with that low of production this year and a high salary. Just not going to happen. And, you know, that's good and bad. Bad because, you know, basically, you got to figure, if someone offered Ran Carthon a first-round pick or a first and like a third or something like that for Jeffrey Simmons, at this point in time, I think Rand pulls the trigger on it. But the fact that he's not, I don't think he's getting those offers. So, you know, reports are going around today that Jeffrey Simmons is not expected to be traded. If this guy had 7 sacks this season so far, which would be absurd, which would be great, or 5 or 6 or whatever, then maybe a different story. But he hasn't been the Jeffrey Simmons we've known him to be. Him and Sweat have been disruptive in the middle, but not exactly what I thought they would have been at the beginning of the season. We're not getting pressure, and, you know, a guy like Jeffrey Simmons has to be applying it. 7th highest paid interior defensive lineman in the NFL. You have to produce. You have to. And like I said, that's worrisome as well that he's not. And the good thing is for us Titans fans is I like Simmons. I'm a big fan that he stays on our team. Hopefully he can turn things around and start to get better and prove that he's the dominant force that we've known him to be. And he's shown glimpses of it this season. But I've been really just truly disappointed that Simmons and Sweat have not caused the havoc that I thought they would in the beginning of the season. I've seen them both show it at times, but I mean, to be consistent, just monsters in the middle. Just have not seen the interior push that I wanted to see in the beginning. And, maybe it's just because the air is taken out of this team. And, they both have had good PFF grades on some weeks, but other weeks they haven't. If they could both put it together in the same game, that would be such a formidable duo in the interior of the defensive line. It'd just be, man, they just wreak havoc all day long. They'd be a nightmare for the offense. Just haven't seen it. This team is young. They're building. They're trying to get draft picks. They know that it's not this year, obviously, so they're trading, trying to build for the future. I get it. I'm on board with it. You got to figure anybody that was a first and second round pick this year or last year, you got to figure they're not going to be traded. I would highly doubt like a guy like L'Jarius Sneed would ever get traded. I doubt Calvin Ridley because we did pay those guys pretty good money. I don't know who's open. Is everybody, like I said, for the right amount? We'll see. We will truly see. But it's clear that the Titans are acquiring picks either to make a move now, which I don't know, because there's reports out there that teams are very interested in Bryce Young. There's reports out there that Justin Fields could get traded. Who knows if Tennessee's in on any of that? We don't know. And maybe Tennessee could just be ready to grab a guy like Sanders or a guy like the quarterback out of Miami, and I cannot think of his name right now. Cam Ward came to me. Maybe a guy like that. I don't know. We'll find out. Like I said, guys, don't think it's done yet. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, tighten up.